Welcome to the podcast Life After Addiction and Indictment. I'm your host, Steve Cloward, and I spent most of the last decade and well over $100,000 on coaches, consultants, masterminds, and events trying to figure out how to reclaim my life again. On this podcast, I'm going to share the tools, the tips, the tricks, and the hacks that allowed me to forgive myself so that I could reclaim my life again. I'll be interviewing experts in mindset, leadership, entrepreneurship, sales, marketing, branding, and so much more. I'm glad you're here. Sit back and relax and enjoy the show.
Let's go! This is Life After Addiction and Indictment.
Welcome to Life After Addiction and Indictment. Today I've got a special guest who she had a long career working with Fortune 500 companies before she ended up going back to school and becoming a fantastic writer. She then taught at the university level. But now she helps entrepreneurs, write books, and she has a publishing company as well. So I want to welcome to the show today, Nancy. How are you today, Nancy?
I'm great, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Well, tell us a little bit about, your background and, what you did exactly when you were, working in the corporate world, and then kind of what took place. I've read a little bit about it. But I'll let you tell your story, what took place that got you to kind of shift gears.
Sure. Well, I had always loved to write when I was a kid, and I went to school, and my real desire was to become a journalist. And so I went to school and studied English and all kinds of stuff and did really well. And then when I graduated, I did the complete opposite of what I wanted to do. I went to work for IBM and became a systems engineer.
Wow.
So I did that for a while, then took a little bit of a break when I had kids and went back and worked for Oracle Corporation, which is another high-end, software company. And so, but I switched gears, not really because I wanted to, although I did want to, but I was trapped because I was making so much money with these technology companies. But what happened was that my father was diagnosed with a terminal brain tumor.
Oh boy.
We knew that he would only live about 7 months. That was the pretty typical path of a glioblastoma, if any in your audience has heard of that. So I quit everything because I wanted to be with my parents during that time.
Right.
So I was living here in St. Louis where I live, and they were down in Florida. So I went down there and spent that time with them. And a little bit after my dad passed away to, help my mom through that transition. Then when I came home, I was like, oh, now what am I going to do? I quit my job, But It wasn't so much like oh no, I quit my job. It was like, I can do anything I want now. And that was
great.
Really exciting to me. And so, like I said, I'd always wanted to write. And so I started looking, I thought, well, maybe I'll just brush up on my writing skills and take some classes. And so as I was looking at university classes, I'm like, well, I've already done all that undergraduate stuff. So I did end up going back to school and getting a master's degree in writing. It's a master's of fine arts, and was asked to join the faculty to teach writing when I graduated, which is one of the advantages of being an older student. Is that the people who were teaching me in grad school could have probably been my kids,
Yeah, but that was a little unique. Going back,
you know what it was, and I at first, because I was 48 when I went back to school, and graduated when I was 50, and so this has been 15 years ago, and so it was, but I was all lit up inside with doing everything, and I was really, really focused on nonfiction. I really love nonfiction. So when I graduated, I taught at the university. And then I started my publishing house, Stonebrook Publishing. I wanted to publish nonfiction books. And it really was an interesting turn because, I don't know how I got the first author. I don't even remember, but the first book that we published had been written by a Holocaust survivor who went to school with Anne Frank. And so, it is it is a really great book. It's still used in the education market now, but we ended up doing the book release at their school in Amsterdam. And the thing that was it was surreal. It really was. I had never spent a whole lot of time in Europe before. So there I was. And they had this incredible ceremony at their school for their 170 students that the Nazis had been murdered. And the only two things that were still there in that neighborhood that were there at the time during the war were the school, and then across the street was the bookstore, and they were still there.
Wow.
So they did this ceremony, incredible ceremony. I'm sure it was all in Dutch, so I didn't understand it, but I felt
You could feel it, I'll bet. Yeah.
I felt it. I felt the emotion.
That's cool.
And then we went across the street and did the book release. So that was pretty cool. And then the second book that we published, we actually got back cover endorsements for that book from Sir Paul McCartney and Cindy Crawford.
No
And
kidding.
I was like, pinch myself. This is amazing. This is really.
Was that something that the publishing company gets, or is that
I
something?
am the publishing house.
Right.
Well, the connection with the subject of the book, right? There was a connection there, and it was kind of a real long shot. We're like, will he even remember her and anything? Well, I mean, I have to tell you, I have been in love with Paul McCartney my whole life. That's as close to him as I've ever gotten. It was exchanging emails.
That's pretty awesome, though. Geez.
Oh, no kidding.
Damn,
I mean, I actually have a deep admiration for Paul McCartney. Here is this guy who has been around forever, and you've never heard anything bad about him. You've never heard about him mistreating anybody, or, you just can't.
Right.
If you don't have integrity, that you're not going to get that far and not have,
That's no kidding.
Gossip stories.
Well, let me ask you a question about that. Did you have like any contacts at all that helped you get in that door, or how did you make that contact? Because I think that's important for people that are listening to.
Yeah. Well, we had like I said, the person that the book was about had a connection with him. And so we reached out through his agent and such.
Okay.
Anyway,
Gotcha.
Basically what he told me was, you write it and I'll tell you if it's okay or not. And so I wrote it, and he wrote back and said, yeah, that's great. You can use that. So
That's cool.
anyway, yeah. So that was very cool. But then there was a problem though, Steve. We were getting a lot of manuscripts that had a seed of what we were looking for. And our publishing house wanted to publish what we call high impact nonfiction, which is material that will either save lives, change lives, or transform society. And we were getting so many manuscripts with that element in there, but they were so poorly written that we couldn't do anything. We could do nothing to help that.
Right.
So we couldn't edit our way out of it, I guess, and make it published.
Gotcha. So it'd be a totally new rewrite. That's what you're.
Well, yeah. I mean, it would be, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just start from scratch.
It's exactly. Yeah. That. And so, I felt responsible for those stories, even though I couldn't publish them. I was like, I was troubled about it. I'm like, we have so many problems in our world that we hardly know how to name them anymore, but much less solve them.
It's not true.
But I honestly believe that the answers are trapped inside of people like you, like your listeners, like these other writers. And that when you simply tell your story and what you've been through, what you've discovered, what you've overcome, what you've, endured, that you become the source of two things that people can't live without. And those two things are hope and help. We cannot live without hope, and we cannot live without help. And
you're speaking truth right now, because every hair on my body's standing up.
Yeah.
It's so true. I mean, yeah.
So I felt incredibly burdened about these authors. So I was in my office one day and just kind of pondering this, and I just felt this presence of God, and telling me that I was going to help thousands and thousands of people tell their story. And so I backed off for a year. I didn't publish anything. And I wrote a process that's a step by step by step by step. And if you're familiar with steps, they get
Well, I
you.
sure am.
I sure am too.
Because of addiction and AA, there's 12 steps.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Know?
there's more than 12 steps to this.
That's right.
But it just takes tiny little steps so that at the end you can become a published author, because it takes you from your idea all the way through like structuring your book and writing the draft and editing, publishing, and distributing it worldwide. So
that's powerful, because I mean, in anything, what people are looking for in a coach or consultant or whatever is that blueprint, those steps to get from where they're at to where they want to go.
And literally, you can just do a little bit a week, and over the course of a year, and you'll end up with a finished book product. So
that's awesome.
We have various levels of ability to writers, and it doesn't really matter what level you're at, because you're going to get so much better, and you're better than what you think you are, and your story is really powerful, and we'll pull that through. But we do a professional edit before we publish it, like all publishers do. So, I mean, you're probably better than you think you are, and it's really rewarding.
Oh, I can imagine. I bet that, I know in my situation, I'll be totally transparent. I've thought about it many times. In fact, I've got my high school English teacher who's actually one of my podcast's, biggest fans.
Yeah.
And we went to lunch 8 or 10 weeks ago. And, he's telling me I need to write a book, and I've thought about it, but
most people think
right. But what is the things that have held me back?
And you don't do it because you don't know how.
Exactly. Or like you say, you don't feel like, you will write well enough, or you know what I mean? But yeah, if you have that framework and blueprint to really help you step by step, then that's a game changer.
Yeah. So, we work with people on, we do a lot of business books, and that's very, because anytime you help somebody do something better, it can change the way their life goes. The other kind of book that I do that I think would be probably of most interest to your audience is, we have another class of writers that I call overcomers.
Cool.
And I love doing those books. I'm an overcomer myself. I've overcome addiction. I've overcome, abusive marriages and all kinds of things like that. And you know what? We're strong.
Stronger because of it, right?
We're strong. And we are strong. And we are strong. And all we have to do to help somebody else is just kind of reach back and just kind of pull them up. And that's what we do. That's what we do in our recovery programs. When we sponsor people, that's what we do in life. Yeah. What else are we here to do? Offer hope and help, hope and help, hope and help.
That is really powerful. And then, like I can sense it just in your energy and the way you speak about it, because I feel the same way. When you help somebody, and I say it on so many podcasts, that is the thing that makes me feel better than anything else I do.
Right.
Or any amount of money I make. It's, if you can really help someone, that is everything.
And you're uniquely gifted to do that. Just right. And a lot of people think, well, what would I write about? I have had this boring life and all. And I'm like, and then they'll tell me what they've been through, and they'll say, who am I to write a book? And I'm like, who are you to keep that to yourself? Don't you know people are out there dying in that situation?
Yep.
And sometimes literal death, but there's a lot of ways to die,
Absolutely.
Spiritually and emotionally, and just we can do, there's so much power in your story, and you're the only one who can do it. And so that's why I like working with these overcomer stories a lot, and for some of our authors and some of us who were in recovery, we kind of think that, I don't know, we may shame ourselves a little bit about our stories.
Yeah.
But when you can actually, and this is true of people that I work with, maybe who have grown up in an abusive home, it's really hidden, and it's so deep into their core, that shame. But when they can finally tell their story their way, they own it, and something transformational happens. It's
Yeah.
miraculous, really.
Oh
They're
yeah.
like, you know what? That's what happened. And here I am
It seems
today.
like it frees them. Finally
Yes,
frees them.
it's cathartic. It's
Yep.
also painful a little bit at the time,
Oh yeah.
going back through and experiencing those things. But for a lot of people, it's the last time they experience it.
Are you tired of paying exorbitant monthly fees for your in-home entertainment? Do you wish there was a way to bring quality and affordable entertainment right into your household without a monthly subscription? Well, look no further. Introducing the VC Box Android TV Stream Box. Since 2020, VC Box has been enriching people's lives all over the world, and now it's coming to North America. Say goodbye to scattered subscriptions and countless apps. We've got all your streaming in one place. This is the best fully loaded Android TV box provider in North America. Our user-friendly interface makes navigation a breeze, and with the voice remote featuring Google Assistant, finding your entertainment has never been easier. The VC Box V2 Pro Android box is the epitome of convenience. Sit back, relax, and enjoy your favorite shows and movies with just a few simple voice commands. And the best part, no monthly subscriptions. That's right, you heard it correctly. Say goodbye to those pesky recurring fees and hello to endless entertainment. Join the VC Box revolution and elevate your entertainment experience. Don't miss out on this amazing opportunity. Visit our website and order your VC Box now. Bring home the VC Box today and bring endless joy and excitement to your household. VC Box, unleash the power of entertainment.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So what year did you start your publishing company? And talk a little bit about, so that I just understands, what all does a publishing company do?
So it's been 15 years. And
Okay.
We win a lot of awards at the book house. So what a publishing company does, let me just kind of explain it in contrast to self-publishing, if I might. Okay. So let's say you always have to start with a finished edited book manuscript. So what a publishing house does was we will take you through the entire process of what you think you might know about publishing and a lot of things that you don't know about it. So we start off by, we usually create about 3 or 4 original book cover designs for you. And you get to pick, you don't just pick one, you pick the one you like the best.
You kind of tweak
Then we
it.
start tweaking and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking. And then simultaneously, while your book is covered, we're working on your cover, your book is going through our proofreading department. And so it's read by 3 different people just to shake out all the errors, because there will be,
Oh, certainly.
this is even after it's been professionally edited, there will be errors in it. And so then once you have picked your cover and we've proofread it, then we go to layout, and we have a whole different design team that does the interior design of your book. And you might start looking at the interiors of book, because people usually don't realize there's a design there, and they're all different. And so we take elements that we created for your cover and kind of pull them through that interior design. So after that, we will, there's other things that are involved, like your ISBN number. Your ISBN number is an International Standard Book number. There's one in the world that is your number connected to that book. And actually, if you have different formats of your book, if you have an ebook and an audio book and a hardback book and a paperback book, they each get their own ISBN. So the ISBN is tied to the publisher. And that's really important, because when your book is cataloged, etc., you'll be tied to a publishing house when you work through us. And so then we will produce proof copies of your book, and you'll get a book that's your book. And we'll, like, one goes to the client and one goes to me, because I read everything that goes out before it goes out. And the point of that is to look through it and see if there's any more mistakes in it. And it's so crazy. You will have read it 40 times. And then when it's when it's a book and you're holding it in your hand, you're going, oh, look at that. That word's repeated twice, or their comma's in the wrong place. And so we scour it again and always find things to get it correct. So once we do that, once everything's all corrected, then we'll release your book through, we go through Ingram Publisher Services. They're the largest book distributor in the world. They'll distribute it worldwide to Amazon, Barnes and Noble, libraries, bookstores can order it, etc. And so then for us, the last step that we do, there's something that publishers have access to called books in print that others don't have access to. So it's a way of us cataloging your book so that it goes out to, could be ordered by libraries and such. So
Oh, that's cool.
Our final step is that our legal team does the work to register your copyright with the Library of Congress. And so you'll get a cool certificate and your book will be in the Library of Congress in Washington, DC. And that kind of wraps it all up. I'm going to contrast that now to self-publishing.
Right, because it seems like most people are doing, do that and just.
Well, a lot do, and which
I don't mean, yeah.
But
I was thinking of specific,
they don't know what they're doing. Publishing is a really, really old industry. There are a lot of conventions in it that people just don't. How would you know? It's like saying, "I want you to start a bank. Go start a bank." So it's old and it's complicated. So self-publishing, a lot of people unfortunately thinks it means like do-it-yourself publishing. I'm going to get some off Fiverr to do my cover, and I'll just upload it to Amazon. And they have missed things in the design realm. Well, even before the design, number one, their book probably hasn't been professionally edited.
Right.
And proofread. I cannot tell you how many people give me their self-published books, and there's so many mistakes in it. I mean, they're awful. And your book honestly should do three things for you. It should establish you as an expert, increase your credibility, and help you to attract a following. But you can trash your credibility on page one.
Right.
You have done things like increase the font size to make the book longer or whatever. And also the other thing, in terms of the intricacies of book design, on the interior design, there's something called thumb holds, which is when you open the book and you hold it, there needs to be enough room for your thumbs on the outside
words.
gutter. Yeah. And there are particular calculations that we go through to make sure that all these things that the spine is lined on the cover, the spine is lined up correctly and stuff. So the things that most people miss when they self-publish is the editing, the proofreading, and the professional design. And then they probably don't know how to register a copyright either. So that's,
I'll bet.
That's for us, that's a no-brainer because our legal team does it all the time. But, it would be hard to figure out. I mean,
oh yeah, I bet. And none of that stuff is offered in those self-publishing situations. Is that correct?
Oh no. And the other thing I was going to tell you about, remember I was talking about the ISBN? It's tied to your publisher. So if you're publishing through Amazon,
right,
the book is always stamped self-published. So, and the thing is that, you're going to spend some money doing your self-publishing, but if you're going to do it right.
Right. Just like anything. Yep.
Don't put out something that later you're going to think you're kind of embarrassed because you didn't know what you didn't know. And then when you know, there it is.
Right. And that's kind of what my comment was when I said most people. When I said most people self-publishing, I didn't mean most people in general. I was thinking specifically, maybe the coach or consultant, he's doing it, for the right reasons, but, cutting the corners and possibly because he doesn't know any better, like you say, but it's 100% just for that credibility piece, Yeah,
but you can imagine that if it's not a professional product, they're going to lose their credibility.
Well, right. That's what I'm saying. They're taking a shortcut that in the long run could hurt them for sure. Right. Just like anything, I heard of growing up as a kid from my grandparents and parents, and if you're going to do something, do it right the first time, like you said,
I know. And it's like, there are no shortcuts, people. There are none. There are no shortcuts in life.
No matter what you're dealing with.
Doesn't matter what you're doing. Just go through it and do it right. It's
Yeah.
so much better than having to do it over.
Boy, no kidding. So because you had so many people, authors come to you and you decided to take that time for a year to create this step-by-step process, obviously that worked out very well. And tell us a little bit about, where you were when you started your publishing company and what it's done. And obviously you won awards and things.
Right.
But like, how many books have you guys published? And
A whole lot. And I should know the number, and I don't. You can see behind me my wall.
I know. Yeah, it's cool.
I've got my office is a weird shape. It's got 6 walls like that. So
wow.
we've got, and I can adjust this.
That's very cool.
Yeah. You can kind of look up and see it's, all around. But anyway, so when I started my published company, it was started with nothing. I didn't have a company. I don't know what, okay, here's what I want to say. I didn't know what it was going to lead to, Steve. All I know is that when I came home and I wasn't working, this is going to sound cliche, I did the next right thing. And for me, the next thing that presented itself that had life in it was, I think I'm going to go back to school. And so I did that. And there's no shortcuts to graduate school. I went to every class. I wrote every doggone thing I had to write, and it's a lot. When you're going in a writing program, it's a lot. And then I got this affinity toward nonfiction and wanted to specialize in that. I cannot tell you what made me think I could start a publishing house. I think God put that desire in me, because right when I said I was going to do that, somebody needed me to publish their book about Anne, who'd gone to school with Anne Frank.
Yeah.
And I couldn't, like everything else, I could not have designed it to work out this way.
Right.
But it did. But I kept doing it. And I'm going to tell you something. Starting a new business is hard. When I tell you this story I just told you, it sounds like, it was no big deal. It was awful. It was really, really hard. I didn't have any money, it wasn't generating any money. And I kind of didn't know what I was doing, but I was getting help from the Independent Book Publishers Association, of which I'm a member. And it was a magnificent, steep, mountainous learning curve.
Yeah, I bet.
So whenever somebody tells their story about anything, the struggle is part of the story. And that part wasn't fun. It's fun now. It really wasn't fun at the time. Just when I first got sober, there was nothing fun about that. But I just kept going back. I just kept going back, and what you do in sobriety or in any other thing is you kind of gradually walk into a new life. And it's one of your own design. And so that's better than the one that was, going sideways.
Yeah. What was your addiction?
Alcohol. Yeah.
How long were you battling that?
3 years. I drank 3 years. And my story is a little bit unusual, but, we didn't drink. I was married to my first husband for 22 years. And very surprisingly, it was revealed that he had this whole secret life, and it wasn't compatible at all with marriage. We were very involved with our church and all kinds of things. And so we were suddenly getting divorced. I don't know what I felt, but I knew I was really mad at God, because I thought, I've done everything right the whole time, and you have blown up my family. And, I started drinking because it was so painful.
I'll bet. Yeah.
And then probably in about 3 months, I couldn't stop. Jeez. And so I drank alcoholically for 3 years. And, you know how that is. I mean, you may not know how that is.
I know how the addiction is.
It is awful. And so anyway, but I just, woke up one day and realized that this wasn't the life that I liked. And I went to an AA meeting, and that was 17 years ago. And I've been going,
That's so cool.
several times a week. My husband just celebrated 37 years of sobriety.
Oh,
So,
wow. That's fantastic.
yeah.
Did you guys happen to meet in sobriety? No.
Well, you would think so, but no, we met online.
Oh, really?
The first time I went over to his house, he had this serenity prayer on his wall. I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, are you a friend of Bill W? You know,
That's right.
and we had all these
So many similarities and
yeah.
wow.
So, yeah.
Just like the old publishing thing, there's things just happen the way they're supposed to, right?
Yeah, but you have to be patient enough to let it. Time takes time. You have to be
no doubt
patient enough and kind of put blinders on and just do the thing. Just do the thing.
Right.
And it takes time to walk out of a life that you've ruined, I mean, it really does.
Oh,
and I drank for
absolutely.
3 years, but there was some untangling to do there. And I was even suicidal at one point. And now I look back, that was about 20 years ago. But when I look back, I'm like, my life is so incredible now. I mean, I can offer people hope and help through my work, through my, working with other alcoholics. And it's just, who would have thought that I would end up in really kind of my fairy tale life that I love every day.
Yeah.
But it didn't always feel this way.
Exactly. And that's what's so powerful, though. People that are listening who, are maybe in the middle of places you and I have been, or just out of it, or haven't kind of seen their life turn the corner, even though maybe they've been sober a while. You're doing exactly what you talk about, that hope,
Just keep doing it. Just keep going.
Exactly.
Just keep going. And it will be, at some point, things will all of a sudden you'll realize that all that heavy baggage and everything is off of you. And like, you'll be like, oh, when did that happen?
Yep.
When did that happen? It doesn't happen for a while. And it's different for everybody, but
right.
Most of us have childhood wounds that we brought into our addiction. And so, we have to figure out how to deal with those as well.
Right.
It's the symptom, right? The ism
That's
is
the key.
the symptom.
Yeah. You got to find out what's the reason underneath that's causing it. Otherwise, it's going to be very tough to stay sober. Yeah. And that's the painful part, oftentimes, that we don't want to look at and face.
Yeah, I know. But we get better at that.
That's right. Absolutely.
We get a lot better at that.
Yeah. Like you said, once you do it and get through it, it's not fun and it can be painful, but it is so worth it. It
is so worth it.
You're
so worth it. I mean, anybody who's listening now, I promise you, if you just keep doing the next right thing, just keep doing it, even when you don't want to. You're building muscles and getting discipline that is going to carry you really far, and you'll walk out of it just like so many others have.
That's right. So for those who were, maybe have thought about writing a book, or maybe hadn't thought about it, but understand, the value behind it and do want to tell their story, what would be the next step for them?
Well, I would love I'd love to chat with people about their book ideas. And so you could go to my website, the company, it's called The Book Professor. So remember, we're talking about books, and I was a professor. So
there you go. Great name.
thebookprofessor.com. And there's a link across the top navigation that says schedule a call with Nancy. So you just go there, it connects to my calendar, and you get to pick a day and time that works for you. And we jump on a Zoom call and talk about your book ideas. I really want you to call me. I really, really want you to call me, because you're thinking, oh, maybe I'll do this, and then not make that connection step.
Yep.
Do that step, because you are more powerful than you think you are. You can be so much more helpful than you think you are. And your story is, you're the only one who has it. And so you're the only one who can do it. And believe me, I'll tell you if you have a bad idea,
Yeah.
I will, because we won't publish bad ideas, right?
Right.
But I can also kind of help you get some framework around it to, give you a vision of what you could end up with at the end of the game.
That's so cool. And that's the thing, like you said, call and have that conversation. And, if you're questioning it, if you're not sure, that's when you got to just lean into it, because those are the decisions that help you gain your power back and help you build your confidence back, is leaning into those things that are uncomfortable,
Well, and Steve, you could be the leader here and the role model, because you just told me in the beginning of this that you're thinking about writing a book. So, we really do have
it for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know we could help you.
Well, I'm not afraid to lead.
Yeah. Cool.
That's cool. Okay. Well, I'll make sure to have that, your website and things in the show notes. You have any words of advice or wisdom for the addict, the alcoholic, whatever, or, the person, the entrepreneur who, needs to do some things to really help them build their business?
Yeah. I would just say, don't hide yourself in what you've done. Part of what we do when we start working on your book, and it does take a year to write your book, and one of the values of that is, as we're doing it, you're getting built up stronger and stronger in confidence about your material and your story. And it's a very collaborative hand-holding process. I mean, we're there with you the whole way. And I would just encourage you to do it. Or just find out about it. Give yourself this chance. This is
just make the call
yourself. And I know we could help you but like anything else, I can't help you if you don't want help.
Exactly.
But I do want to help. So.
You're right. What's the most, I think you've shared kind of the answer, but what is the most rewarding thing that you get from your business on a daily basis?
Well, the other thing that I think that is so important in life is connection. And I have learned that, and I've learned to connect in recovery with people. And I guess I would say is that you see all these book covers all over my walls. And I am such close friends with every single one of those people. I love them. They send me notes 10 years later. Oh, I just love you. And, and it's not weird.
Right.
It's not weird. It's like we have shared something in life, and we are really, really connected. I was texting last night with one of my clients who lives in Las Vegas, and they just won the Stanley Cup last night. And we've been texting. I haven't talked to him in 5 years or so, but the last week we've been texting back and forth about hockey, because we're really good friends. And so, in August, my husband and I are going to England for a couple of weeks to catch up with some friends, and one of them is my client who lives in London. So
that is so. You got friends all over the world. That's so cool.
I know. Yeah. I do. I actually really do. And and
those are real relationships, because, like you say, you've been involved when they've been most vulnerable. You're talking about their personal things and their stories, and that's what creates some of those bonds.
They know mine because I'm
right, but that's what creates those bonds. They're just intense and deep,
Yeah, we can't live without that.
So cool.
Connecting with others.
Right.
And one of the valuable things about sobriety is that I had to learn what feelings were and how to connect with other people and how not to hide myself. So I like what we're doing with people who have these overcomer stories, because we're guiding you to, stand in your own story and your own truth and be proud of what you've overcome.
Yeah. 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 It's, to me, the world, I believe, is starving for authenticity, and those kind of books are as authentic as you get. For anybody that deals with social media at all, if you just look at the things that you do, on social media and the engagement they get versus those maybe occasional times, if you haven't done it, you should test it, because you'll be blown away when you do something and post something that's real and raw and vulnerable and honest. That'll get you 100 times the engagement than any just meme or BS that you post.
Exactly.
It's not even close.
Because we're all we're
all messed up.
People are messy, you know?
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
and we
Life's
need each
messy.
other too.
Amen. That's 100%. That is what I say. This in the world today, we need each other and we need more love and light in this world. That's what we need.
Exactly.
You
And
know?
you can be that
Exactly.
for somebody else.
Well, man, it is incredibly powerful what you're doing. I think it's been a pleasure to have you on the show today. And folks, reach out to Nancy Erickson. Like I say, her website and the link will be in the show description. And go check things out and, you know, make an appointment and talk to her and see what come of it, because I think it'll make a huge difference. And if you enjoy the show and appreciate the content, jump on over to Apple and give us a 5-star review. We'd appreciate that. That'll help the algorithm push this episode up so more people will hear about Nancy and learn about what she does so that they will know where to get help. And thanks for listening and appreciate you and have a fantastic day. Thank you, Nancy.
Thanks, Steve.
My pleasure.